Well, there's been a lot going on in the last couple of weeks in the NBA. Coaches just getting fired right before the playoffs. Lots of process. It started, the first domino to fall, Mike Brown. The Kings, not in a great position. They surely peaked a couple years ago. They went to Game 7 in the first round against Golden State. Curry had 50. We know what happened. Obviously, since then, they've kind of just been a middle-of-the-road team in the West, which is still an impressive feat because of how strong the West is. But at the same time, they don't have championship aspirations, and they're looking, to go in a different direction. Obviously, they trade De'Aaron Fox to the Spurs. I mean, we know what happened there. But more recently, what's interesting is Taylor Jenkins gets fired with the Grizzlies, and Michael Malone gets fired from the Nuggets. Now, I'm a little late on the Jenkins thing. Malone is a little bit more recent, but it's just so confusing to me. I mean, I get the issue I for both of them. I totally understand that Ja Morant was not a fan of the offense in Memphis. He wants, to be the main initiator. He wants a lot more involvement in it. He doesn't want to be a 22-10 guy. He wants to be like a 26-6 or 8 guy. And I think that's perfectly reasonable. He has that capability. But on the other side of things, if you're the coach of the Grizzlies and Ja Morant is someone who, gets suspended, which, to be fair, I feel like is kind of a yin-yang situation. Like, the NBA is part of the problem, but so is Ja. I could make a whole different video talking about that, trying to stay on topic here. I think the Grizzlies are well within their rights, right? And the coach of the Grizzlies is well within his rights to want to try and make the team play well with or without Ja, especially because of his injury history. You have to plan for him not to be there, unfortunately. So I totally understand why they ran things the way that they ran things. What I don't understand is why you fire a coach this close to the end of the season. I think with Memphis, they have a really, really good lead assistant. They were definitely worried about losing them, and now they're the interim head coach, but they're probably just going to stay the head coach. I did not Google the pronunciation for this man's name. I'm not even going to attempt it. We all know who I'm talking about. It's no big deal. I think the Nuggets situation is just a little bit more interesting, mainly because I think all of the Russell Westbrook drama really makes it just that much more bizarre. Michael Malone is the only head coach in Nuggets history to win a championship, by the way. And obviously, you hear all the reports after all the trades. You don't know what actually happened behind the scenes. You just hear, anonymous sources, spilling the tea of it, if you will. But I think this one is super interesting because they're saying Russell Westbrook was not a locker room favorite. They're saying that, the younger guys especially wanted those closing minutes. They wanted to play, and Westbrook was getting preferential treatment. I don't know how true that is. I mean, we're talking about a guy who averaged a triple-double. This is an MVP of the league. This is a guy who is a certified Hall of Famer. So I don't really know why that respect would or wouldn't be there. That kind of feels ambiguous to me. But the thing that's interesting is that they were saying Michael Malone was giving Russell Westbrook preferential treatment. Obviously, Nikola Jokic was going to get it. Jamal Murray also apparently was getting it. That didn't ruffle as many feathers. They've been here. They're franchise icons, franchise legends, the two best players definitively on that championship team 2 years ago. And obviously, the main two guys still on this team that's trying to compete for a championship. I feel like the Nuggets still had a chance at the chip this year. I think the Grizzlies, Taylor Jenkins, if you're trying to maintain, your head assistant and you value that guy over your head coach, then that decision makes perfect sense to me. Why would you, keep this guy who's not really maximizing your team and lose one of your best assistants when you're not even really a contender in the first place? And I love Memphis, but with all due respect, they are not at that top tier echelon of teams. I think the last video I made was who's actually contending, and we talked about the Grizzlies. They're a great team. They're a fun team. They're a young team. They are not contenders. They're a dark horse for sure, but you fire a head coach right before the playoffs. Not a lot of expectations, I feel like. I mean, I just don't know how you're supposed to have expectations in that scenario. You know what I mean? Because when you're looking at the Nuggets with, not really a ton lined up coaching-wise, firing one of the better head coaches in the league, a guy who has that perfect game plan for the Lakers. I don't know if he does now. Obviously, they're a different team. They traded AD for Luka, so the matchup is definitely different. But it's not like AD could guard Jokic, so what were you going to do different? You know what I mean? Like, I don't see the Nuggets losing that edge over the Lakers until this firing of Mike Malone. I really don't get it. And it wasn't just that guy, because it wasn't just the coach that got fired. It was also the GM. Literally like 4 or 5 games before the playoffs are about to start, you're going to fire your GM and your coach. They're 47-32 as of recording this video. What more do you want from them? And it's Nikola Jokic. Like, he's probably going to come in second for the MVP this year. It's kind of the same thing as like the Embiid year. They just wanted to go with a different narrative. And I think it's cool that guys are going to get MVPs for the first time. It's cool to see history like Nikola Jokic winning all these MVPs, and he's having insane numbers. Don't get it twisted. To be an MVP, you really need to be that top seed, or you need to be doing something that hasn't been seen before. And unfortunately, we've seen people average a 30-point triple-double. Talked about Russ earlier. Giannis and Jokic have been setting this standard for so long. I feel like when Shea comes in, doing it at the efficiency that he's doing at, leading the best team in the league record-wise, I mean, you just have to have some respect for that. Anyway, again, not to get super sidetracked from the Nuggets conversation, it just doesn't make sense to me. This feels like a move that you make in the offseason. You trade somebody, maybe Michael Porter Jr., try and get a different piece, shake up the roster if things aren't working. I think the writing has been on the wall since Game 7 last year in the semifinals. They are a good half away, even a break-even half away from winning Game 7 convincingly. They were up 20 in their own building in Game 7, and they lost. I mean, that's just absurd. That is an insane choke job. Nobody really talks about it. I don't know why. It was really bad. It was also bad because they had a 3-2 lead. They got blown out in Game 6, like blown off the floor, and then you have a 20-point lead in Game 7, and then you crumble as the defending champs at home in Game 7. Like, I just don't understand how that happens. There's clearly a lot going on behind the scenes in all of these organizations that we don't understand, and I'm sure there will be more details to come that I just haven't, seen yet. But it's just a very odd move. You made it through the whole season essentially, and now it's time for the playoffs, do or die, and you're going to shake things up now. There's no time to gel. There's no time to figure anything out. It's interesting. We'll see if it works. I mean, if the Nuggets win the championship, then we, come back to this video and we're like, wow, what an idiot. Like, Michael Malone was holding them back, blah, blah, blah. But I just don't think it's one of those situations.